This is the partner test from yesterday. The first three questions are asking you, I want to know the angle whose inverse cosine is a -1/2. Now, we talked about this in class, that if it's an arc cosine, arc sine, arc tangent, you are only in one of two quadrants. Cosine is going to be in quadrant 1 if it's positive, and 2 if it's negative. That's cosine. Cosine, you're restricted to this area from 0 to pi. So because it's negative, you are in quadrant 2. So you're going to draw a triangle in quadrant 2, name this side -1 and this 2 because it's cosine. What angle is this? This is a 60 degrees, so pi over 3, but I want the angle in quadrant 2 because it's negative. So instead of pi over, this is a 30 degrees, so pi over 6. I'm sorry, this is a 60 degree, pi over 3. So I want to know this angle right here, not the pi over 3 angle, but this angle. What angle is that? 2 pi over 3. This next one, arc sine. We talked about that. If it's positive, you're in quadrant 1, but this is negative. So what quadrant are you in? 4. So we need to know what angle is this if the side opposite over the hypotenuse is a -√3/2. What angle am I? You are what? 60 degrees going backwards. We can't go in this area. You're going to go this way or this way. So it's a -60 degree or -pi over 3. You get it? Okay. How about this one, arctan? You're just like sine. You're in quadrant 1 or 4. Well, this is a 1, positive 1, so you're in quadrant 1. This is an easy one. What is that? Pi over 4. What if it said a -1? Where would you be? -pi over 4. Excellent. I gave 2 points for those three because it was, you knew it or you didn't know. Yeah.
Is tangent in quadrant 1 and 4 too?
Yes, same as sine, 1 and 4.
Okay.
1 if it's positive, 4 if it's negative. I have a question for you. If this said arc tan, or it could say this, and it said -1, where are you at? 4. What angle is this?
Negative?
Can I call this 7 pi over 4?
No.
No, because you can't go, you're not using any of that. You're not going, so think of it as you're going this way or that way. You gotta go positive to pi over 2 or to -pi over 2. Not 7 pi over 4. Okay, everyone got that? All right, the next ones. These next three are a combination of, if I put my finger over those three, this, and this. This is the new stuff. This is the old stuff. These three are from chapter 6. I have right here in front of me a 90-degree angle. This is a 90-degree angle. Where's 90 degrees? It's right there. 0, 1. If you were given an angle, I want to know what's the sine ratio at 90 degrees. In other words, what is the y over the r value here? What would you write? What's the definition of sine? Y over r. What's the y value right here? 1 over 1. So this piece is 1. This whole thing is a 1-to-1 ratio. So what you now have is arc cosine 1. Now I want to know the angle whose angle, the angle, arc cosine, I'm here, here, or here. What angle am I? I'm an angle whose x over r is 1 over 1. Now, I already know, since it's an arc cosine, I'm in here, here, or here. And I know it's not going to be there because it's not negative. So here's my choices if I had to guess. Do you think it's 0 or do you think it's pi over 2?
0.
It's 0. Next one. Cover that. Cosine of pi. Where is pi? From chapter 6. This is the ordered pair negative 1, 0. The definition of cosine is what? X over r. So this is negative 1 right here. Now I want to know arc tan. We just talked about this. Arc tan. Now you're in quadrant 1 or 4. 1 if it's positive, 4 if it's negative. So guess what? I don't have very many choices. I'm some angle whose opposite over adjacent is a negative 1. What angle am I? Say it louder. Negative pi over 4. Next one.
Sorry.
5 pi over 6. Where's 5 pi over 6? Quadrant 2. This is 5 pi over 6. So I'm going to use pi over 6 to name this triangle. That's a 30-degree angle. So this is going to be 1, this is going to be negative root 3, and this is going to be a 2. So what's the cosine of this angle? It's going to be adjacent over hypotenuse. So this is going to be negative root 3 over 2. Does everybody understand that? This is from chapter 6. Now I want to know arc sine. I want to know the angle whose, now I'm back in which quadrant? 1 or 4. Where specifically am I? I'm in 4. I want to know what angle am I whose opposite over hypotenuse is a negative root 3 over 2. What's that angle? 60 degrees backwards, negative 60. Number 7, arc cosine. Now I'm in quadrant what? 1, 2, 3, or 4. Only one spot. Where am I at? Quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. Why 2? You are right.
Negative cosine.
Because it's negative. I'm going to name this a negative 2 and that a 7. Why did I call this a negative 2? Because it's cosine. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So now, what do I have to do? I have to figure out what this side equals using the what theorem? So negative 2 squared plus something squared is equal to 7 squared. 4 plus something squared equals 49. Something squared, whoops, question mark, is equal to 45. Square root of question mark is 3 root 5. So this is 3 root 5. So what's the sine of this angle? It's opposite over hypotenuse. So 3 root 5 over 7. Number 8. Okay, so cover tangent. Arc cosine. Okay, so I'm in which quadrant, 1 or 2? I'm going to put myself in quadrant 1 because I see a positive u. What's the definition of cosine? Adjacent over hypotenuse. So you have to figure out what this opposite side is because we're talking tangent, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. So I'm going to use the Pythagorean theorem. I'm going to call this y instead of question mark. So in other words, u squared plus y squared equals 1 squared. So y squared is equivalent, this is a 1 minus u squared, square root both sides. So this side is equal to the square root of 1 minus u squared. So this is equal to the square root of 1 minus u squared. So the tangent of this angle would be opposite over adjacent. So all you'd have to do is write 1 minus u squared over u. Opposite over adjacent. That's what tangent is. Now, if this word was sine, what would my answer have been? It'd be the square root of 1 minus u squared over 1. Next one. Find all solutions. All means is that's when you add or subtract to k pi if it's a sine or a cosine. If it's tangent, add k pi. Okay, so what do I do here? I see this 10 in front. Don't want it there. What do I do? Get rid of it. How do you get rid of that 10? Right? Okay, now, in the last chapter, we did these problems. What angle am I? I'm going to ignore the negative. Ignore it. Okay? So give me an angle in quadrant 1 whose opposite over hypotenuse is a 1 over 2. What angle am I? You're a what angle?
What?
Not 45.
30. I didn't say 40.
30 degree, pi over 6. Now, in what two quadrants is sine negative in? What two quadrants, everybody?
3 and 4.
3 and 4. So what are the names of those angles in quadrant 3 and 4 that have a 6 under it with it? What is it?
7 pi over 6 and 11 pi.
7 pi over 6 and 11 pi over 6. Now, see how it says all? That means that you're going to get this answer over and over again because the period for sine is every 2k pi. So these were the answers in chapter 6 when we did them with a 1 here. Now, these are not the answer. What do you have to do?
I know.
Set them equal to 2x. And do what? So what's this real answer? 7 pi over 12 plus or minus k pi. So 7 pi over 12 plus or minus k pi. Okay, the next one, you'd have to divide all this by 2 or multiply by a half. So this one's 11 pi over 12. Plus or minus k pi. Next one. Okay, I'm gonna ignore this for a minute. Pretend like you don't see it there. Do the problem like chapter 6. What's the definition of cosine? X over r. Where in this circle do you get an x value equal to -1? Where? Do you get it here? Do you get it here? Do you get it here? Yeah, here, pi. Because this is -1, 0. Do I get it anywhere else? Here or here? No. So I know I get it here, and then I get it again, and again, and again, and again. What am I doing? That would have been the answer in chapter 6 if that was a 1x. What am I going to do now with this answer? Set it equal to x over 2. How do I solve for x? What am I going to do? Multiply this by 2. Well, then I have to multiply this by 2, and I have to multiply this by 2. So the answer would be 2 pi plus or minus 4k pi equals x. That's the answer I want. Number 11, I got a lot of junk in front and after. What do I got to do to this? You want to isolate this piece right here by subtracting 5 and dividing by 8. So you should all be able to get that right there. Right? Subtract 5, divide by 8, you get -1. Ignore this. what angle are you? If it were positive 1, what angle would you be? If it were a positive 1, it would be a pi over 4. But it's not it's not positive 1, it's negative 1. Where is tangent negative? It's negative in quadrant 2 or 4. So what's the name of that angle in quadrant 2 with a 4 in it? It's 5 pi over 4. If it's in quadrant 4, what would it be? It could be 7 pi over 4. You could even say negative pi over 4. You could go backwards. Now, these are all good answers. But add k pi to this, and you're set. All you have to do is set this equal to x over 3. Yes.
How is it?
Not 5 pi over 4, 3 pi over 4. My bad. I got it. Sorry, 3 pi over 4 is in quadrant 2. Now, you're going to set this equal to x over 3, so multiply this by 3, multiply this by 3, multiply this by 3. So one of your possible answers is 9 pi over 4 plus or minus 3k pi. Another answer would be 21 pi over 4. Another answer would be negative 3 pi over 4. Those are all good answers. I accepted any of them.
So you don't have to have all those answers?
No, just one. Which one's the easiest one?
Probably the last one.
The last one, going backwards. And you can do that if it says find all the answers. You can go backwards. You can get to that one. Okay, this next one, I tried to make it simple. Try to make it simple. What, do we mess around with cosecant? What do we do? 1 over. What's another name for 1 over cosecant? Okay, what angle am I? Well, if I were positive, I would be a 45-degree angle, right? But I'm negative. In what 2 quadrants is sine negative? 3 and 4. What's the name of the angle that has a 4 in it in quadrant 3? Now it's 5 pi over 4. And what else? And then what should you do to these? Add 2k pi. Do I have to divide or multiply by anything? No, because it's a 1. So I made those easy. Now you could have named 7 pi over 4 different. What could you have named that? If you wanted to. These two mean the same thing. These are good. These mean the same thing. Questions? Is it getting better? Little by little. Okay, now read these directions. Find all the solutions only in this interval. Do not go backwards. You're not allowed to go backwards here. Because I want you to go from 0, from here, I want you to go only in this direction. You're not allowed, the rules have changed. You can't go backwards. So don't give me negative pi over 4. And I want you to stop here. I don't want you to add 2k pi to anything. So now, what do? Factor. What do you see common? What's the GCF here? Cosine of x. When you pull this out, you're left with 2 sine x plus 1 equals 0. We learned in algebra, when you're solving equations of this nature, you set each of these equal to 0. So if you set cosine of x equal to 0 and 2 sine of x plus 1 equals 0, I want to know the angles. These are all angle degrees, or radians I should say. I want to know in this circle here, from here to here, where is the x over the r value a 0 over 1? In other words, where is the x value 0? Here and here. So pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. Actually, let's put them in order. Let's do pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. Okay, now, do this one. Set this equal to 0, which we did. How do you solve this? How do you get sine of x by itself? You should be able to do that. Now, I want you to always draw an angle in quadrant 1. Name that 1, that 2. What angle am I? If I were positive, it's not gonna be the answer, but it's gonna help me to get the 2 correct answers. What angle is this whose side opposite over hypotenuse is a 1 to 2?
30.
It's a 30 degree, which is pi over 6. So now I want to be negative. In what 2 quadrants is the sine ratio negative? 3 and 4. So what's the name of those angles in quadrant 3 and 4 with a 6 in them?
7 pi over 6, 11 pi over 6.
Very good.
Nice job.
Do not add 2k pi to these. Do not. Now, I messed up I threw this question out because this was a typo. That should have been a +2. But I'm gonna show you how to do it. So everyone fix this, +2. So you are going to get this equal to 0. Set this equal to 0. Whoops. Cosecant. Okay. You can factor this. X squared minus 1x minus, how do you factor that? X and x minus 2 plus 1. That's how that factors. So x is equal to -1 and x is equal to 2. Now you're going to put the word cosecant in front. So we don't deal with cosecant, we deal with sine. If you did 1 over and 1 over, this is going to be sine of x is equal to -1. 1 over -1 is still the same. Now, where is the sine ratio? What is the definition of sine? Sine is y, the y value over the r value. Where's the y value, -1? Where is it, -1? 3 pi over 2. Yep, 3 pi over 2. That's where the y value is -1. Now, you're going to flip this one. You're going to do 1 over cosecant, which is sine, and 1 over 2. What 2 angles are you whose opposite over hypotenuse is a 1 to 2? It's a 30 degree, so pi over 6, and in quadrant 2, 5 pi over 6. Those would have been the answers if it was written right. And the last one on this page, this is the non-calculator still. If you saw this problem, I would do it as this. I would factor I would solve, and then I would put the word cosine in front of these. This side, 1/2. Do quadrant 1, adjacent over hypotenuse. What angle am I? It's not the answer, but it's going to help me get the other two, the right 2 answers. This is a 60 degree, so pi over 3, right? But I want to be in quadrant what and what? 2 and 3. So what's the name of those angles in quadrant 2 and 3 with a 3 underneath them? 2 pi over 3 and 2 pi over 3 and, come on,
4 pi over 3.
and 4 pi over 3. Now, why do you think I only put 2 blanks there, but there's another half problem here too? Why is that no solution? Give me the reason. I should make you write a paragraph on it. Common sense tells you that if you had this fraction, could this triangle exist?
No.
Why not? Because the hypotenuse always has to be bigger than the left, right? Okay. Any better?
Yeah.
Okay, a little bit?
That's the next page.
All right, now this is the calculator part. Now, again, these ones you only have to give me the answers from 0 to 2 pi. Do not go backwards and do not add and subtract 2k pi. What group was it? There was a group that added and subtracted 2k pi. Do not add, and I'll deduct points. I saw plus and minus 2k pi on these. These are just gonna be decimals rounded to 3 decimal places. Okay, so now, what do you do here? Ignore the negative if there's a negative. Ignore the negative if there's a negative. Ignore the negative. You're gonna hit, on your calculator, what should it be in, radians or degree? Radians. You're gonna type in inverse cosine, ignoring the negative, that. You're just gonna type that in. Now, on your test tomorrow, I'm gonna put this right here. I wanna see that. What is this answer right here? It should be 0.578. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It should be 0.955. Right? So at first ignore the negative, but now I want you to think of the quadrants. In what 2 quadrants is cosine negative in? 2 and 3. So you want to be here and here. You're going to take this answer. To get in quadrant 2, it's pi minus that. If it's in quadrant 3, it's pi plus that. The 2 answers you should have gotten are 2.187 and 4.097. So I'm going to give, I think, 3 points for this. I want to see that answer. Because some of you had that answer, but then didn't have these 2, and I thought you should get something for that. You get something for that, and then those 2. Okay, questions? Yes?
Why do you use quadrant 2 and 3?
Because cosine is negative in so you really want to be negative. This would have been the answer if it was positive. It would have been this answer and then the one in quadrant 4. But it's negative. Cosine is negative in quadrant 2 and 3. So remember that little thing I gave you at the beginning when we did these? Quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3. This is your little helpful hint right there. That's what you do. So first, ignore the negative and get your answer in quadrant 1. And then you have to decide, think about which quadrants. They're all positive, sine is positive, tangent's positive, cosine's positive. So you want to remember these 2 things, okay? So now this one. If you're using the 84 or 83, this one, you don't have a cotangent button. So what you would have had to do, and some of you guys like Ryan, you have the 84?
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason I'm showing you the 84 and the Inspire is because you guys don't have an Inspire at home. And you're gonna go away to college and you might have to do this problem, and if this is the calculator you have, this is what you have. So how would you do this problem on this calculator? Well, I would do 1 over. So when you do you're gonna do 1 over cotangent and 1 over 3.185. Ignore the negative. So you have tangent and then 1 over 1 divided by 3.185 is 0.3139. Actually, if you rounded, 3.14. okay? Now what you're gonna do is hit inverse tangent. So second tan, 0.314. That's gonna be your reference angle. Now, in what two quadrants is tangent negative in? What two quadrants is tangent negative in? 2 and where? So you're gonna do pi minus that answer and 2 pi minus that answer. Now, is there another way we could do it if you have the Inspire? Well, the Inspire has a cotangent button. If you hit trig, there is a cotangent button here. So if you're lucky enough to have one of these, you have less work. You're gonna hit cotangent and you do not have to flip it. Just type that in. Ignore the negative still, 3.185. 3.185, hit enter, and guess what? You're still gonna get that 3.304 answer here. And you still have to put it in quadrant 2 and 4. So either way, I don't care which calculator you use, it's up to you. Do what's gonna help you in the long run. You guys are ready to graduate. If you need to learn, if you only have an 83 or an 84, do the 83, 84. If you are gonna be here another year and you wanna get good at the Inspire and maybe invest in it, then the Inspires are actually easier. But anyways, these are the two answers. Now, why can't I use negative 3.04? Why? For anybody that put negative 3. I think there was someone, I don't know if it's this class, you guys did. Why is that answer wrong? I wanted to mark it right, but it's wrong. Why is it? Tell me why you're not gonna write that answer. If I say, what's your favorite color, and you say pizza, did you answer my question?
No.
My question to you is, find all the solutions in that interval. So if I say, go sharpen your pencil, but I want you to hop, and you go sharpen your pencil and you crawled, you didn't do what I said. So in other words, think, as stupid as that example is, I want you to remember this, because I know your answer is technically right, but you didn't answer my question. My question is, I want the answer from 0 to 2 pi. I didn't say go backwards. So for those of you that have negative 0.304, the answer's wrong. Technically it's right, but it's wrong, according to what I'm asking you. So be careful. Okay, next one. How do you do this problem right here? Well, let's get the cosine stuff out. Let's just concentrate on factoring for a minute. How do you factor this problem? And I see we have some struggle with factoring. That was an issue. As a matter of fact, I did it on the board right there for you. I had to,
I was
'cause
wondering, I was like.
I'm like, are you kidding me? You guys are gonna get this wrong because you can't factor. So now, 3x plus 2, if you set this equal to 0, subtract 2 and divide by 3. You get negative 2/3. And what about this side? This is stuff you learned, and you guys, I remember when you were freshmen, I had a lot of you guys, and you said, why do we ever need to factor? There you go, to do this problem. How's that for an answer? Now, let's do the easy side. What's the easy side? That one. Why is that the easy side? Because it's garbage. Oops. That's what I wanted to do. Can this triangle exist? No. Your leg can't be bigger than your hypotenuse. That's what you're saying. That's what you're telling me. So that's no solution. Okay, how do you do this one? With the calculator in front of you. See this fraction? It's not something I know. I don't know 2 to 3 ratio. So you're gonna hit inverse cosine. Ignore the negative, I've said that a zillion times. So trig, inverse 2 divided by 3. I need that reference angle, 0.841. Now, is that an answer? No, it's not. I need to be in what two quadrants is cosine negative? Quadrant 2 and 3. So you have to do pi minus that and pi plus that answer. Pi minus that and pi plus that. Pi minus and pi plus. So the two answers turn out to be 2.301 and 3.98. No negative answer, 0 to 2 pi. I messed up. I won't. I did it on purpose because I wanted you to, I'd be telling you that that's no solution. That's why I did that. So if there are more blanks, you write no solution.
I vote in the test, you just leave those up.
Who did?
That's it, I vote on the test, you just don't put those extra blanks.
Oh, you vote?
Yeah.
Did you vote? Okay. Okay, number 19. What's that common word that comes out? Pull it out. Pull it out. What do you get?
I got it.
Okay? Like you did in 9th grade, set each of these equal to 0. I'm just gonna do that, -3. Now, what's the definition of tangent? Tangent is y over x. Where do you get a 0 over 1? Where is the x value 0?
0.
Please excuse this interruption at this time. If we can have the students dismissed that are attending the field trip with Miss Nagel's German 4 class, please report to the exit doors across from the main
So
office
0 and
by
pi.
the staff parking lot.
Now,
will
if
be
you
boarding
have
your buses
3.14
at
for
this
that, that's
time.
fine.
Thank you.
Those are both good answers, because I'm taking decimal answers, but you could have just wrote pi and I would give you that. So 0 and pi. So that's the two spots where you get a fraction, where your x to y is a 0, here and here. Because this is 1, 0, and this is -1, 0, so you still get a 0 here. Now, what about this? We don't want to deal with secant. Now, you could hit second cosecant negative, not -3, but just +3. Or you could flip this, because you're so used to doing that. So now, I should have wrote 1 over secant. 1 over secant is cosine. So now what do? Hit inverse cosine 1/3. Get your reference angle. Your reference angle ends up being 1.23. I think 1.23. Let me do it again. Okay. Cosine 1 divided by 3, 1.23, yep. 1.23. Now we gotta be in quadrant what and what? 2 and 3. So you're gonna do pi minus 1.23 and pi plus 1.23. So your answers end up being 1.911 and 4.373. And I will put another extra credit question on there. And I'm not gonna tell you how to do it, because it's extra credit. Okay? Questions?
So tomorrow
Okay, tomorrow I'm not gonna be here, I'm at a conference. So you're gonna work on this assignment right here, 8.2.